Hello everybody! Welcome back to our channel. It's John from Ali here, and I hope you're having a great day. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. What are we going to do today? I'm glad you asked. Today, we will be doing some listening practice. Now, for all of you learners out there, you may be wondering, why can't I understand spoken English? Well, there are three main reasons. Our first reason is spoken English sounds different from the way that it is written. It is written a certain way, but when we speak, we change a lot of sounds. Now, our second reason is...
Where are you going? Nice weather we're having. I'm gonna let's go.
It's too fast. Maybe you learn English in the classroom. Hello, Don. I'm going to the park tomorrow. Do you want to come with me? Is not how we speak in day-to-day English. I hate to tell you, but it's the truth. And our third reason why.
Keep your head down. It's a date. Don't coming out just yet. We're just getting started.
There are many words that we say that we don't write down a lot. So there are many day-to-day phrases that we will use that we do not cover in textbooks. So, to help with these three problems, we will be starting our new series, Native Speed Listening, where I will give you many examples of natural day-to-day English. First, I will give you the example. I will say it 3 times. Listen, try and understand what I am saying and write it down. You can put it in the comment section below if you like. Next, we will have a little explanation. I will put the sentence up on the screen. We will look at it together and I will explain new vocabulary and the sound changes that happen when it is spoken. And at the end of the video, we'll have a little review section where I will say the phrases again and you will see if you understood what I said. Sounds like fun, right? Well, I'm looking forward to it. So let's have some fun practicing some native speed listening. Your English skills are going to improve a lot with this series. Now, for our first video in this series, today's video, we will focus on phrases that deal with understanding something. Are you ready? Get out your pencil and paper and write along, and let's get started. Okay, let's get on to our first phrase. I didn't catch that. Could you say it again? I didn't catch that. Could you say it again? I didn't catch that. Could you say it again? This phrase was, I didn't catch that. Could you say it again? Now, this word here, catch, means to hear something clearly, or sometimes we use it to mean understand. This is often used in a phone call. If you can't hear something for a moment or the call cuts out, you can say, I didn't catch that. Now with this phrase, I didn't becomes I didn't. Usually, the beginning of a sentence, if we know we're speaking of I or you or me, if we know the subject of the sentence, it becomes very weak and very short. So it's not I didn't, it's I didn't. The I becomes weaker and shorter. Notice also, could you becomes could you. Could you say it again? Could you say it again? So we can think of could you going together like one word. Could you say it again? Say it again. Could you say it again? It almost sounds like one big word. Now, for our next phrase, I get the gist of it. I get the gist of it. I get the gist of it. This phrase was, I get the gist of it. Again, we have the I in the soft position. We know the subject, so the person's talking about themselves. So I get. Get can be used to mean understand. So to get the gist is a set phrase. This word gist, G-I-S-T, gist means the main idea of something. So I get the gist of it. I understand mostly. Maybe I understand 85%. I understand it well enough. Next phrase. I can't make heads or tails of this email you sent me. I can't make heads or tails of this email you sent me. I can't make heads or tails of this email you sent me. Now for this phrase, I can't make heads or tails of this email you sent me. This is another set phrase. We can't make heads or tails. It means you can't understand it at all. This phrase is only used in the negative, can't make heads or tails. And in past tense, it's couldn't make heads or tails. She couldn't make heads or tails of the message. Present tense, can't make heads or tails. And in future tense, won't be able to make heads or tails. This is very useful for something you can't understand at all. So you may have noticed with these listening exercises, English has a bit of a bouncing rhythm to it, where we slow down on the important syllables and the important words and the less important parts of the sentence. The grammar and the helping words all become shortened and sped up. We speed through them. So I can't make heads or tails of this email you sent me. So can't, heads or tails, email. These are all the important words. These are the parts where we slow down. The rest we want to just speed up and go through. So keep that in mind in our following listening exercises. For our next phrase, could you run that by me again? Could you run that by me again? Could you run that by me again? This phrase was, could you run that by me again? Could you run that by me again? To run something by somebody means to tell them one more time, to inform them one more time. This phrase, to run something by somebody, is used very commonly in business situations. Although we could sometimes use it in casual situations too. Now for our next phrase, I can't wrap my mind around these instructions. I can't wrap my mind around these instructions. I can't wrap my mind around these instructions. That was, I can't wrap my mind around these instructions. In this phrase, we used can't wrap my mind around. Can't wrap my mind around means that it's very confusing. It's very difficult. You cannot understand it at all. This phrase is very common. I can't wrap my mind around something. If we notice the words mind and around form together and we say it like mind around, mind around. And here the D becomes sort of a soft D sound. So in English, the D and the T, when they're in the weak part of words, are in between words going together, it becomes this da, da, da sound. So mind around, not mind around, but mind around. These instructions also form together like one word, these instructions. Notice the S at the end of these becomes a Z sound. These instructions. Now on to our next phrase. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. This phrase was, I don't get it. Notice again, get it softens and becomes get it, get it. So I don't get it. I don't get it. Notice the emphasis on the don't too, to strengthen the meaning. I really can't understand. I don't get it. To get something has many meanings, and in this case, we use get to mean understand. Now on to our next phrase. My boss's instructions weren't clear. My boss's instructions weren't clear. My boss's instructions weren't clear. This phrase was, my boss's instructions weren't clear. I use the phrase weren't clear. If something is not clear, it's hard to understand. Notice again the rhythm of this phrase. My boss's instructions weren't clear. So boss, instructions, clear are the important words. They get the emphasis of this sentence. Now, on to our next phrase. Don't leave me in the dark. Don't leave me in the dark. Don't leave me in the dark. This one was difficult, wasn't it? This phrase was, don't leave me in the dark. Here, we use the phrase to leave somebody in the dark. If you leave somebody in the dark, you're not giving them some information. You're not telling them something, or you're not explaining something to them. Maybe a situation happened that they're not telling you about. Don't leave me in the dark. Here again, the end of leave and me and in. Me and in are in the weak position of this sentence. So leave is one of the strong positions in this sentence. So leave me in becomes leave me in, leave me in. We almost don't say the V sound. Leave me in. Now, on to our next phrase. Let's work out a solution. Let's work out a solution. Let's work out a solution. This phrase was, let's work out a solution. Notice here, this A is usually softened a lot to more of an sound. A solution, a solution. We rarely say a in natural English unless we really want to emphasize something specific. Not a solution, a solution. Here the phrase work out means to come to an understanding. We could also say work out a math problem, for example. Now, for our final phrase of the video. I can't make out what she said. I can't make out what she said. I can't make out what she said. Here, I said, I can't make out what she said. Notice the beginning of the sentence is in the weaker position. I can't make out becomes I can't make out. I can't make out. Almost like one big word. To make out something here is very similar to catch. It almost has the same meaning, to understand something, but with a bigger emphasis on not hearing it properly. I couldn't quite hear that well. Could she say it again? Could you say it again? So I can understand. And this concludes the lesson portion of our video. Now it's time for us to do some practice. I will say each phrase 3 times, and I will give you a moment to copy me. Let's try and sound like a native. Let's begin. I didn't catch that. Could you say it again? I didn't catch that. Could you say it again? I didn't catch that. Could you say it again? I get the gist of it. I get the gist of it. I get the gist of it. I can't make heads or tails of this email you sent me. I can't make heads or tails of this email you sent me. I can't make heads or tails of this email you sent me. Could you run that by me again? Could you run that by me again? Could you run that by me again? I can't wrap my mind around these instructions. I can't wrap my mind around these instructions. I can't wrap my mind around these instructions. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. My boss's instructions weren't clear. My boss's instructions weren't clear. My boss's instructions weren't clear. Don't leave me in the dark. Don't leave me in the dark. Don't leave me in the dark. Let's work out a solution. Let's work out a solution. Let's work out a solution. I can't make out what she said. I can't make out what she said. I can't make out what she said. And this concludes our practice portion of the video. Okay, everybody, great job watching through to the end. Now let me know down in the comments section what the hardest sentence was for you to understand. Did you find any new and interesting phrases? Let me know. And don't forget to like and subscribe. That is all for today's native speed listening lesson. This has been John from Ali, and I will catch you later.